Hello and welcome to Minerals, Rocks, and Fossil Talks. I'm your geology teacher, Jen, and it's time for a Throwback Thursday. We're going all the way back to 1980. This is Mount St. Helens. It is part of the Cascade Range in the American Northwest. On March 15th, 1980, a swarm of small earthquakes occurred, indicating that magma might be on the move. 5 days later, a magnitude 4.8 quake was recorded under the north flank of the volcano. Several more earthquakes were recorded over the next several days. The volcano was waking up from its century-long sleep. On March 27th, small phreatic eruptions began creating a new crater 250 feet or 75 meters wide and sending ash 7,000 feet or 2.1 kilometers into the air. Basically, phreatic eruptions are eruptions that are caused by magma heating up water and vaporizing it and sending it up into the air, along with any rock fragments that may have gotten in the way. A fracture system opened up and sent ash 10,000 to 11,000 feet, or 3,000 to 3,400 kilometers above the vents. The ash then mostly fell 3 to 12 miles, or 95 to 19 kilometers away, but some made its way all the way to Bend, which is about 150 miles or 240 kilometers away. Or some of it made it all the way to Spokane, Washington, which is about 285 miles or 460 kilometers away. It's quite the distance for ash to fall. And then a second crater formed, and a blue flame was reported, likely from burning gases. On April 1st, strong harmonic tremors were detected, alarming geologists and prompting the governor to declare a state of emergency on April 3rd. An executive order went out creating a red zone around the volcano, and anyone caught in there would be fined $500 or 6 months in jail. They were serious. Stay away from the volcano. It could kill you. In the last week of April, the USGS determined that a 1.5 mile or 2.4 kilometer diameter section of the north face had been displaced outward at least 270 feet or 82 meters. By mid-May, it would grow to nearly 500 feet or 150 meters. So here's an idea of what that bulge looked like. On May 7th, eruptions similar to those in the preceding months began to occur, so more phreatic eruptions. All activity was confined to the 350-year-old dome and didn't involve new magma. Visible eruptions ended on May 16th, losing the public's interest. As far as they were concerned, the eruption, done. On May 17th, 50 carloads of property owners were allowed into the red zone to gather as much of their property as they could carry. Another trip was scheduled for the next day, as it was Sunday, and the loggers who were working in the area would not be there. As May 18th dawned, nothing indicated a catastrophic eruption was about to occur. Readings did not reveal any changes to the rate of bulge movement, sulfur dioxide emissions, or ground temperature. But at 8:32 a.m., a magnitude 5.1 quake centered directly below the north slope triggered that face to slide, followed a few seconds later by the main volcanic blast. So, basically, out of nowhere, boom. The sector collapse traveled 110 to 155 miles per hour, or 177 to 249 kilometers per hour, the largest in recorded history. Scientists were able to recreate the motion of the slide thanks to some photographs by Gary Rosenquist, who was camping a mere 11 miles away. He was lucky enough to be protected from the blast by topography just 1 mile from his location. And these photographs that I've been showing you are his photographs of the blast from this volcano. You've probably seen them before. They're very famous photos. They're used in so many different media to show the eruption of Mount St. Helens. The landslide exposed the dacite magma in the volcano's neck to the much lower pressure outside, causing it to explode a few seconds after. The blast directed the pyroclastic flow laterally, and initial speeds were around 220 miles per hour or 350 kilometers per hour. So instead of the normal blasting straight up, it went out the side, which is what this volcanic eruption is really famous for. It quickly accelerated to around 670 miles per hour or 1,080 kilometers per hour. This was fast, even for normal pyroclastic flows. This is insane. And it may have briefly broken the sound barrier. I mean, this was explosive. It quickly overtook the avalanche slide area and covered an area about 23 miles long and 19 miles wide. In total, about 230 square miles or 600 square kilometers of forest were flattened. And when I say flattened, I mean all of the trees were just blasted down. They're on their sides. No saving them. They're gone, Jim. So there were the trees that were flattened, and then you can see there's still trees standing kind of on the edge up here. These trees, beyond that flattening zone, were killed by the extreme heat blasted over them. It was hot. Superheated flow material flashed water in Spirit Lake, meaning it immediately turned to steam. And the North Fork Toutle River, I think that's Toutle. If you are from Washington, let me know if that's Toutle River. Creating a large secondary explosion that was heard as far away as British Columbia, Montana, Idaho, and Northern California, yet many nearby places like Portland did not hear it. So, wild noises coming from this thing. As I said, this volcano is not famous for being particularly deadly. Only 57 perished, including volcanologist David Johnston, who was monitoring the volcano and had been giving all the warnings about what was happening. He was camping nearby and keeping an eye on it and just couldn't outrun the pyroclastic flow. It was thanks to him and his colleagues that most people didn't die in this eruption. He got the warnings out in time. There were 2 photographers who also died, and one was able to protect his camera with his body, providing photos with valuable information on the eruption. Not Gary. Gary made it out, like I said. He got protected by the topography, but the other one had some pretty cool photographs too. So these were his photographs. Didn't take long before he was like, oh, I'm not going to survive this. And so he actually took the time to put his camera back into its camera bag and into his backpack, and then he covered his backpack with his body, and that protected the film so that we could get these photographs. So, salute you. This eruption was the deadliest in U.S. history, with a blast that released 24 megatons of thermal energy, which is equivalent to 1,600 nuclear bombs. This mountain was covered in snow and ice, so they all melted, got dumped into the rivers along with all the trees that got blasted, and caused lots of damage through lahars, as pictured above. And if you were not alive in the 80s, talk to people who were. They remember this. My dad was living in Oklahoma, and they got a little bit of the ash dumped on them. So it's kind of fascinating learning about it from people who actually remember it. It's really exciting. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for Fossil Friday. We're going to talk about the fluorescent fossil beds, which involve some volcanics. in the fossilization process, and I will fossilize you later.